Hello friends, I was recently scrolling on social media and I came across this image that you're seeing on the screen right now. And it was getting a lot of interaction, a lot of interest. People were liking it and sharing it and were really excited about it. And the caption said something like, "Catechize your family," as is being portrayed in this image. And if you were a casual scroller on social media, like most people are, you might see an image like this and say, "Oh, that's endearing," and then maybe like it and then continue to scroll. But as a graphic designer myself, I tend to take a closer look at images like this because of the professional interest that comes along with it, especially as it relates to evangelization and the ability for us to use rich media and social media to share the message of our faith, as was apparently being done in this case. But in fact, under closer scrutiny, I realized that this image, far from being something that promotes the Christian faith, it actually is kind of antithetical. Far from this being a family as might superficially appear to be a wholesome Christian family, I actually became convinced that this is a family of Satanists who are worshiping the devil. Now, stick with me on this. I'll go through and provide the evidence. I've got this open in Photoshop because I have these sort of forensic tools to provide the necessary analysis to go through this. But I thought this would be worth doing because I think we need to be a little more shrewd as Christians and Catholics interacting online, for fear that we don't actually counteract our mission and our efforts. Okay, so let's look at this a little bit more closely. So I've got this open in Photoshop. The first thing I wanted to point out was the icons. These appear to be holy images on the wall, but if you look at them a little more closely, they're kind of horrific looking, kind of demonic looking. This one over here, this looks like it's the face of death. These are all just sort of distorted and perverted images. Yeah, that's alarming. Definitely not good, holy, beautiful images portraying the saints and the grace and divinity that has obviously sanctified them in their lives. Okay, well maybe that's not that big a deal. Let's keep looking at some of the things I found alarming here. Let's draw some attention over to his daughter sitting here. Seems fairly innocuous at first, but under closer inspection, we notice that she's got two right legs. These are two right feet. Maybe that's just a disability, not all that wrong in and of itself. But then you'll also notice that she's floating. She's actually levitating. She's not on the couch currently. The couch ends right here. She appears to be sitting. There's nothing supporting her. There's no shadows on the ground here. There's no stool. There's no legs for where you would see a stool supporting her. She's actually just levitating there, obviously relying on preternatural or demonic help to perform this task. She's also sitting dangerously close to the fire and doesn't seem to be harmed by it at all. She seems to be immune to the elements, which, you know, that could be supernatural in nature. That could be a help from the divine. But, you know, as we go through the rest of the things that I've noticed with this image, I think you'll become more and more convinced that this is demonic in nature. Let's look at the husband here for a second. He seems to be oblivious to some of the things that are going on here. His levitating child, the demonic images staring and looking down upon him. But furthermore, if you look at how he's holding this book, which we're led to assume is a Bible, but I think it might be actually a satanic or occult work. Look at the shape of his arm here. So that's his forearm bone, but then his wrist is coming up like this, which suggests that he's actually got a very serious fracture here that he's not being responsible about. He's not drawing any attention to it. He should be at the hospital right now, but he seems to be completely oblivious to this fact, among other things that are kind of alarming in this image, suggesting that he's spending too much time perhaps with grooming. That might be a big distraction in his life. He might want to take some time away from the mirror and look at some of the things that are going on around him. His children are sitting too close to the fire. They're levitating, in fact, too close to the fire. And also his wife has some very, very concerning things going on here. So for starters, she has an arm right here. Okay, that's fine. But she also has another arm growing out of her stomach or something here. I don't know if this is something that she has decided to do in order to help with her domestic tasks that she asked for help from the devil. But clearly she's in league with the devil in order to facilitate these kinds of unnatural abilities. You'll also notice that she has goat's legs. That's certainly not the kind of thing you would want your wife to have, but if you follow the line of her leg here, so here's her knee, but if you follow it all the way down, that's clearly, I didn't even draw it very well. Let's do this again, because it comes all the way over like this. Like, that is clearly a goat's leg. This one's a little more subtle, but, you know, legs just don't bend like that. I think she's definitely a witch in league with the devil. So clearly, you know, that's something to be concerned about. If none of that is convincing for you, the last thing I noticed was that if you bring down the levels here, bring it all the way down, and you notice what's written there in the fire, that looks like an homage to the devil, if ever I've seen one. So all of these things add up, and I'm convinced that this is actually a satanic image that Christians should be a little more cautious about sharing and liking on social media. Now, obviously, I'm joking. This is just bad AI art. It's not actually a satanic image, but there is something to be said about unscrupulously sharing and posting AI art like this, as if this is going to promote our faith in meaningful ways. You know, if an atheist or an agnostic or a person of another faith tradition saw this image and saw all of us rallying around it with the kinds of enthusiasm that it apparently has, I think that actually looks kind of bad for us. You know, if they scrutinize this and saw any of the things that I saw, they think, boy, these Christians are a little bit naive if they think that this is a nice image that helps encourage the promotion of their faith. Now, I'm not totally against AI art. I'm a graphic designer, and I have to use AI art for stock photography from time to time. But we shouldn't be sharing this as art. You know, if I ever use AI imagery, I'm refining it, I'm correcting problems that are within it, I'm using my graphic design skills in the service of that. It's just a stock starting point, and that's okay. But if we're just going to share stuff like this as if it's a wholesome artistic rendering, well, then I think we're actually we're counteracting the mission of our faith to some degree. And the unfortunate thing about this is that we're doing it in a way that well, it's an unnecessary thing to do, because there are good Catholic artists out there. One who comes to mind that I know personally is Tiana Williams here. Her website is sacredartbytiana.com. She's got beautiful handmade oil paintings that you can buy prints of. She's got videos of her actually producing these paintings, time lapses. If we're going to share stuff, let's share stuff like this, because it simultaneously edifies the soul and promotes the good of the church in the use of art to communicate the faith. But it also supports good Catholic artists who need our support. You know, sharing their work on social media, sharing the things that they post on social media, is probably the biggest challenge to getting their work out there and finding people to support them and to buy and to commission their work. So instead of sharing AI art like this, let's be more enthusiastic about supporting good Christian artists who are doing this work in the service of the church and of the faith, and who have clearly been blessed by the Lord with this anointing and with these abilities that they've dedicated themselves to. So that's all I had to say. That's the thesis of this video. Let's support Catholic art rather than using AI art as if it's a supplement for true and noble art and craftsmanship. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye, guys.